Hello, colleagues! It's good to meet you again in another mind mapping video from my side. I am Valkino, the MBA candidate from IPMI International Business School. On this occasion, I will share with you what we learned in the Global Economy and International Business lecture by Prof. Roy Sembel and Prof. Yulita Susanti. This course introduced some of the major debates around the contemporary global economic order. The course will provide an overview of the global economic context, characterized by globalization and regional integration processes. Main trends and institutions in the global economy will also be covered, such as the monetary system, the foreign exchange market, and the trade regime. The last part will deal with transnational corporations, ranging from the impact of FDI in home and host economies to the way contemporary firms nationalize. This course also focuses on the international context of organizational activities and provides a framework for making decisions in the globalized economy, as well as possess the wise judgment to choose the steps for entering the international business, decide on alternative financing, and consider the possible risks, threats, and opportunities. Hence, also able to anticipate the economic and international environment changes and avoid the risk in the international market. At the successful completion of this course, the students will be able to identify the stages a company goes through as its management orientation evolves from domestic to global and the driving forces affecting their decision. Compare and contrast the main types of economic system that are found in different regions of the world and current changes in the world economy. Assess policy instruments used by government to influence the international trade flows and its implication to the national competitive advantage in certain industries. Formulate a strategy to enter a foreign market by taking into considerations various entry modes and market conditions. In the first week, Professor Roy Semmel gives us a brief introduction to the global economy, introduction to the world economy, and about the comparative advantage. We learn about the long history of global economy in one chart. We are know about the evolvings of all major powers compared by GDP from the year 1 AD. In the year 1000, we can see the world was dominated by India and China, so-called the Asian world. Once it comes to the year 1800, it is shifting to the Western world. Industrial revolutions, World War I and II, the global economic was controlled by the Western country. Japan dominated Asia in the mid 50s to 2000s. Now, the global economic shifting back or evolving back to the Asian world, especially China and India, giving threat to the Western economy. We also learned about new economy, the old economy plus digitization or e-commerce, capital mobility, and liberalization. Coming to the globalization, new economy, so-called the new market structure, new industry structure, new firm structure, and new business model. One article from Prof. Roy was very interesting. It is about the new economy. 20 years after the dot-com crash, 20 years after the dot-com revolution, the new economy is not dead. It is revised and improved versions or digital disruption and Industry 4.0 have become the new reality in the last 2 decades. Three pillars of the new economy is one, better customer services. It is means more choices, 24-hour services, and just click away. Second is transparency and competition. It is faster natural selection, sticks and carrots to become more efficient and innovative. The third one is cost reduction. It is about the interaction cost and transformation cost, more and faster interaction and transaction, globalization and localization. unbundling, and reassembling business organization, government, and financial instrument. We also learned about the global economic turmoil disruption and FUCA. We are now in the FUCA era. FUCA means volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Some also saying from FUCA to tuna. Tuna means turbulent, uncertain, novel, and ambiguous. It's all about the rising debt and debt ratio, digital disruption, trade war, budget deficit, etc. Disruption is everywhere. Long run competition is not about the price and output competition which counts, but competition from new commodity, new technology, new source of supply, new type of organization, and new business model. There is example of the five largest company in 1996, named GE or the General Electric, the Royal Dutch Shell, the Coca-Cola Company, Nippon Telegraph and Telephone, and ExxonMobil. Coming to the year of 2022, none of the company mentioned above is still ranked in the fifth largest company. It is switched now to Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet or Google, Saudi Aramco, Amazon, Tesla, Bitcoin, and Meta or Facebook. Not only the company that has been changed, but also the industry. Only one oil company is still there. The rest is coming from technology company. FUCA might be sounds negative, but there is a positive way to interpret that FUCA. Positive FUCA is versatile, upbeat, creative, and agile. The rich people focus on opportunities. Poor peoples focus on obstacles. Indonesia's total GDP in 2021 was 1,218 USD. It is 40% of total Asian GDP. The second rank is Thailand is about 548 USD and Malaysia in the third place about 402 USD. Some unicorn born in Indonesia such as GoTo or Gojek, Bukalapak, Traveloka, OVO, and JNT Express. One of the local coffee shop chain also there in the 12th place. Kopi Kenangan. Indonesia is on the right track. We need more resources, participation, and collaboration at all levels to realize our national goals. In the second week, Prof. Yulita lectured us about the quota and tariff, international trade and labor, and environment standards. What drives international trade? First, it is the fundamental force that generates trade between nations is comparative advantage. Second, the basis for comparative advantage is divergent opportunity costs between countries. Third, national comparative advantage is the ability of a nation to perform an activity or produce a good or service at a lower opportunity cost than any other nation. The opportunity cost of producing a t-shirt is lower in China than in the United States. So China has a comparative advantage in producing t-shirts. The opportunity cost of producing an airplane is lower in the United States than in China. So the United States has a comparative advantage in producing airplanes. Both countries can reap gains from trade by specializing in the production of the good in which they have a comparative advantage and then trading. Both countries are better off. The analysis of tariff and quotas is called commercial policy. In this session, we look mainly at single market effects of tariff and quotas. For example, the effect in the steel market of a tariff or quota on steel. This is called partial equilibrium analysis. Tariff and quotas also have effects that spread through the economic system. A tariff is a tax on imports. It may be a set amount, for example, $5 per ton of steel, or it may be a percentage, let's say 10% of the import value. A quota is a physical limit on import quantity. Quotas come in many forms, for example, import licensing requirements or voluntary export restraints. The analysis is similar to a tariff, although the effects are slightly different. Tariff and quotas cause changes in the production, consumption, and importation of the good on which they are levied. Production at home increases. Some consumption switches from foreign goods to domestic, but overall consumption decreases. Imports decline. There are changes in other industry and in the performance of the economy as a whole as the effects work through the system. Consumer surplus is the value of a good or service that is in excess of what the consumer has to pay. For example, you are willing to pay $100 for a pair of shoes, but can buy them for $60. Your consumer surplus is $40. Graphically, in a supply and demand system, it is the area under the demand curve and above the price. Different consumers have different levels of consumer surplus. Producer surplus. This is the difference between the price a firm receives and the price it would be willing to sell it at. Therefore, it is the difference between the supply curve and the market price. In the third week, Prof. Roy has lectured us about the international finance, starting with the absolute versus comparative advantage. Some countries are better equipped than others to produce particular goods or services. Absolute advantage is the ability to produce a specific product more efficiently than any other nation. Comparative advantage is the ability to produce a specific product more efficiently than any other product. Goods and services are produced more efficiently when each country specializes in the products for which it has a comparative advantage. There is some of international financial management tasks, such as first, choose a capital structure. 2. Raise funds for the firm. Third, working capital and cash flow management. Fourth, capital budgeting. Fifth, managing currency risk. And sixth, manage the diversity of international accounting and tax practice. When it comes to managing currency risk, what are the forex exposure? First, it is anticipatory, second is transaction, and the third is translation. There is two things that are certain in life. It is death and tax. What is international taxation? There is three type of it: direct tax, indirect tax, and sales tax. Tax havens are the countries hospitable to business and inward investment because of their low corporate income taxes, such as Bahamas, Luxembourg, Monaco, Singapore, and Switzerland. There is four risks of international businesses. First is cross-cultural risk. Second is the commercial risk. Third is country risk, and fourth is currency or financial risk. Exchange rates are the price of one currency in terms of another. Exchange rates affect the fortunes of the firm in various ways: cost of inputs, sales performance, which market entry strategies to use, etc. The foreign exchange market is the global marketplace for buying and selling national currencies. There are factors that affect currency exchange rates. It is relative inflation rates, relative income, government restriction on the flow of goods or services, risk perception, relative interest rates, and government restriction on capital flow. The international monetary system is the institutional framework, rules, and procedures by which national currencies are exchanged for one another. The global financial system is the collection of financial institutions that facilitate and regulate the flow of investment and capital funds worldwide. It includes the national and international banking systems, the international bond market, and national stock markets. In the fourth week, Prof. Roy lectured us about the financial crisis and overview of the subprime mortgage crisis, SPMC. It is an ongoing economic problem manifesting itself through liquidity issues in the global banking system, owing to foreclosures that accelerated in the US in the late 2006. Complex interaction of financial institutions, mortgage brokers, and securities dealers triggered a global financial crisis during 2007 and 2008. In 2007, 1.3 million nationwide went into default, up to 75% to the prior year and less than 60% in 2005. More than half of the foreclosure starts are subprime mortgage. By August 8, losses or write-downs exceeding US 400 billion and be expected to reach $1 trillion. What is the impacts of the crisis? 1. Stock market drop down. 2. Financial institution bankruptcy. 3. Economic condition recession, low GDP growth rate, business close out or lose money, banks, builder, weak financial market, low consumer spending, lose jobs, and other credit markets, credit card and car loan. In the fifth week, we will learn about international business, globalization, and the difference in culture. International business is the business transactions between parties from more than one country, buying and selling raw materials, finished goods, or services across borders, operating factories or facilities overseas, borrowing money in one country to finance operation in another. Why study international business? Most of us will work for companies that have international connections to develop cultural literacy and to keep in step with management tools, production techniques, and technology that other countries are developing. There is two types of international opportunities. First is the investment opportunities. It is the marginal returns of MNC projects are above those of purely domestic firms, since MNCs have expanded opportunity sets of possible projects from which to select. Second is the financing opportunities. MNC can obtain capital funding at a lower cost due to their larger opportunity set of funding sources around the world. What is global business? It is a business that transcends national boundaries and is not committed to a single home country, managing the process of globalization, exporting, making a product in the firm's domestic marketplace and selling it in another country, importing, bringing a good, service, or capital into the home country from abroad, licensing, an arrangement whereby a firm allows another company to use its brand name, trademark, technology, patent, copyright, or assets in exchange for a royalty based on sales. Strategic alliance is a cooperative arrangement between two or more firms for mutual gains. A joint venture is a special type of strategic alliance in which the partners share ownership of a new enterprise. Globalization is the trend toward greater economic, cultural, political, and technological interdependence among national institutions and economies. Why does it need to globalize? It is to leverage core of competencies, to acquire resources and supplies, to seek new markets, and to better compete with rivals. Globalization of market is convergence in buyer preference in markets around the world, and globalization of production is dispersal of production activities worldwide to minimize cost or maximize quality. When it comes to globalization, It is also means there is potential of cross-cultural risk. Its cultural difference risk arising from different in language, lifestyle, attitude, customs, and religion. Where a cultural miscommunication jeopardizes a culturally valued mindset or behavior. Negotiation are required in many types of business transaction. For example, where the Mexicans are friendly and emphasize social relations, the Americans are assertive and get down to business quickly. Decision-making styles also related to the cross-cultural risk. For example, the Japanese take considerable time to make the important decisions. Canadians tend to be decisive and shoot from the hip. Ethical practices, standard of right and wrong, vary considerably around the world. For example, bribery is relatively accepted in some countries in Africa, but generally unacceptable in Sweden. In the 6 week, we will learn about strategy and organization in the international firm. What is strategy? It is set of actions that managers take to make best use of the firm's resources and core competence, gain a competitive advantage. There is three strategic objectives. One is the efficiency, lower the cost of the firm's operation and activities on a global scale. Two, it is the flexibility. It is the agility to manage diverse country-specific risks and opportunities by tapping resources in individual countries and exploiting local opportunities. And three, it is learning, develop the firm products, technologies, capabilities, and skills by internalizing knowledge gained from international ventures. There is four strategies emerging from the integration responsiveness framework. First is home replication strategy. Second is the multi-domestic strategy, so-called the localization strategy. Third is the global strategy, and fourth is transnational strategy. When it comes to the MNC strategies and related organizational structures, according to Pang in 2011, we can divide it into four quadrants, with the horizontal axis measuring the pressure for local responsiveness and the vertical axis measuring the pressure for cost reduction. When the pressure for cost reduction is low and the pressure of local responsiveness is low, it is called a home replication strategy. When the pressure for cost reduction is high, but the pressure for local responsiveness is low, it is called the global standardization strategy. When the pressure for cost reduction is high and the pressure for cost reduction both high, it is called the transnational strategy. And when the pressure for local responsiveness is high, but the pressure for cost reduction is relatively low, it is called the localization strategy. Last but not least, in the 7th week, we learned about international business functions, marketing in the global firm, and human resource management in the global firm. In the 8th week, it is the exciting final exam during which each group needs to present their final assignment. In my group, we need to present the event analysis, which is the impact of green or climate issues on the international business. That is what will you get from the global economic and international business subject from IPMI International Business School. Another part that is also interesting for me is the business case discussions, such as the Mesa case, the Silicon Valley Bank case, the Sikits Qatar case, the Nike versus New Balance case, Facebook case, Zara case, and etc. I hope this video can give you some hints about what we learned so far, and please do not hesitate to reach me if you have further questions. Don't forget to give us your like. Thank you and bye bye.